We'll take around 5 minutes for changeover. We'll request you all to be seated. I will straight away call the next session speakers. Now we have a fireside chat session on empowering digital transformation and leveraging technology for impact. This session is presented to you by CISCO. We will have Mr. Partho Sengupta, Senior Vice President, ITC Infotech and Head of IT Shared Services, ITC Limited. And along with him, we have Mr. Raghavan Kasturirangan, Principal System Architect, CISCO, for this session. Can we have both of them on the stage, please?
There is a country of 300 plus languages, where one day, every one of us will be connected. Everyone.
Mr. Sengupta and Mr. Kasturirangan.
Through hills, across rivers, and ancient cities. There is a country where we will connect with each other to be included and to come together even when far apart. We will connect to our land for our future, our people to opportunity, and ourselves to our traditions. This is our country, a land of over 1 billion people. And when everyone and everything is connected, anything is possible.
CISCO, the bridge to possible.
Hello. Good morning, Kolkata. I think we're going to start a very interactive session now. And my name is Partho Sengupta. I head IT Shared Services for ITC as a group. And we're going to have a fantastic round table, like a chat discussions between us. And over to you, and Raghavan, if you can also introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks Partho for this. Happy to be here. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone from Kolkata. My name is Raghavan, Principal Solutions Architect from CISCO, based out of Bangalore. Been with CISCO for 20 years. Happy to have some freewheeling conversation with Partha.
Yeah, the first important questions, a lot of people sitting over here, they're all from IT industry and all. There is a lot of changes which is happening around the network across the industry. The IT environment are changing because of the adoption of the network, because of the speed requirement, because of the diverse network conditions, because post-COVID scenarios and all. How do you see that industry is shaping up and all? How do you think that CISCO is contributing towards that?
Sure. All right. Thanks for that interesting question, right? So, if you look 5-10 years back, network was all about connectivity. How does the user connect to the network, access the applications, or communicate amongst themselves? So now that connectivity is taken for granted, like how you switch on the switch and the electricity is there. So when you come to the network, the connectivity is guaranteed, right? Nobody talks about the connectivity, the speeds and the feeds today. So they are all designed, and the network is adaptive enough to basically scale up or scale down the bandwidth on demand. If you look at what is happening from the network consolidation perspective, there are 3 things what we see across the industry, not just in India, but across the globe. One is basically, and before getting there, this is all driven by artificial intelligence, right? So artificial intelligence is the base on which many of these services are getting delivered across the network today. And getting into the trends that we see in the industry, one is basically the customer experience, right? So basically this includes connecting to the network seamlessly, wired or wireless network. How do I get authenticated, and how do I use the best path to reach my applications? And even if there is an issue in reaching to the applications, can I get to know about it? If there is an issue, how do I know where the issue is? Is it on my local LAN network, or is it on the service provider, or is it on the infrastructure cloud which is delivering those applications to me, right? So that's one thing with respect to the user experience. And also, the other thing which is impacting the user experience with respect to AI is, if you look at WebEx, which is our collaboration platform, lot of effort has gone in there. And if you attend a meeting on WebEx today, it is going to summarize what has happened during that period of the meeting, and it is going to send a sort of like a minutes of meeting. This is all AI driven, and for those who are here and want to experience this, we have our WebEx booth just outside, so you could go and experience like how AI is used in this context. The second thing is basically the security, right? So security is an integrated part of the network today, and it all starts with zero trust. Like, people should not have access everywhere. The access should be on demand, and depending on the role, people should be given the right access at the right point in time, right? So what we call as a blacklist model. Deny everything and provide access on a need basis. And this starts right from the way the people connect to the network and all the way across the WAN environment to the way they access the applications which are hosted in a private or the public data center, and there are a lot of segmentation techniques which are being used. And the third one is basically automation. As the network becomes complex, as it becomes very, very disparate, how can I use automation and orchestration techniques to deploy the network, right? So nobody wants to go into the CLI to configure. One is it's time consuming, it's error prone, and we are not able to meet the turnaround time for the business. So how could I use automation and orchestration to deliver the network at scale and at speed so that the businesses are able to leverage the power of automation to deliver faster, right? So these are the three trends what we are seeing across the industry, networking industry across the globe, right? There are multiple things when I talk about network connectivity, and I don't want to get into the details of that, but at a very high level, these are the three things what we see consolidation happening across the network.
Great point. I think so the moment you're talking about that point, what is happening in the industry is what all of us are facing this challenge. I want to share it with you. Is that previously everywhere, every company's data was there in the data center.
Yep.
Now, because of the cloud adoption and the SaaS adoption, what has happened is that now data is everywhere. So if you used to call that I have one data center, I've got two data center, then I've got an n number of data everywhere. So where the data exists is my data center. Now, internet has become only mechanism to access the data. What you used to believe that MPLS, which is a private network which used to be there, that is fading away and all, and people are telling that move out of MPLS and move to internet. So that we have seen, the journey has started, the journey has begun, and a lot of companies are moving to internet to access their applications, and direct access to the application from internet has become a reality, not outside the MPLS ecosystem.
Yep.
Now with that, what we see another change which is shaping up is that 5G ecosystem. 5G ecosystem, what we have seen, Raghavan, is that we have seen that there is a lot of adoption of 5G across the country in the consumer base. If you go back to the industry space and all, then automated manufacturing, the digital twins and all, distributed manufacturing and all, where the 5G was supposed to be adopted heavily and all, and that adoption we did not see. So the private 5G and public 5G has got the thin line difference of an MPLS and internet. So how do you see that this 5G is going to shape up in future, so that that all of us over here and all collectively will be able to take the direction in terms of our adoption of the 5G network in the corporate segment?
Sure. So I will try and answer this question into two parts. One is basically you asked about MPLS, and the second part of the question is about 5G, the private and the public 5G networks. With respect to MPLS, yes, we are seeing a shift and a trend where people are moving away from MPLS and trying to use direct internet access. This is because, as you said, applications are moving to the public cloud, and people don't want to send the traffic to the data center, and which act like most of the times a bottleneck, and then get connected to the internet, right? So they wanted to exit locally, and basically this has triggered the use of direct internet as a medium of connection or a communication. But having said that, there are a lot of regulated industries like banking, healthcare, finance, right? Where there is a regulation that applications has to be like sort of on-prem, right? So if you look at banks, not many core banking applications are on the public cloud, right? So obviously the web facing are on the public cloud, but the database and the other resources are still in the bank's private data center. So those regulated industries still depend upon MPLS as a primary mode of connectivity from their branches towards their data center where the consolidation happens, and then they break out to the internet, right? So obviously, as you said, there is a drastic shift in the connectivity, but what we are seeing is in the foreseeable future, MPLS would continue to survive, and that would be the primary connectivity for business critical security sensitive applications. But many of the web facing applications which are hosted on the public cloud, yes, obviously the direct internet access could be the preferred medium of communication, right? And that's where some of the technologies like SD-WAN, software defined WAN, comes into play, where the transport medium is basically abstracted, or the WAN is independent of the transport medium, the underlying transport, right? And the solution has the intelligence because of the software capabilities that is inbuilt, has the intelligence to define to basically determine what are the business applications, what are the general applications, and route the traffic accordingly over the MPLS links or over the direct internet access links, right? So that's the trend what we are seeing today with respect to the WAN consolidation. Moving to the second part of your question, which is more about the 5G networks, right? Yes, the private 5G has been offered by many of the service providers, and also there is a public 5G, right? So the public 5G consumption or adoption is increasing because of the mobile phones and the SIMs being 5G ready. But whereas when it comes to the private 5G, what we are seeing, at least in India, is there is a slight lag. The reason for that is twofold, that what we have analyzed. One is the cost of setting up private 5G network dedicated to a particular enterprise, right? So this calls for deployment of the radio, this calls for the auction of the spectrum which can be used by that enterprise only, right? So there is a commercial cost involved to it. And the slicing of the private 5G network is still not very cheap, right? So if the enterprise wants to have a dedicated 5G network, private 5G network, there is a lot of commercial implications on that. And it is not viable to deploy a private 5G with that cost in an enterprise kind of environment. But when you look at a manufacturing, or when you look at a airport kind of operations, where it is more on an open network, where wireless is not very seamless, yes, private 5G makes a lot of sense in those environments, right? The second factor, which is a sort of hindrance to the adoption of private 5G in the enterprise, is the support at the endpoints, right? So it is basically almost zero cost to connect to a wireless, because all your laptops, your mobile phones, your tablets comes with a Wi-Fi adapter, right? Whereas if you look at the ecosystem to support a 5G on these computing devices, it's still not very, very mature. So you need to look for a 5G dongle or an external connector which serves as a hindrance, because there is a cost to that, and if you're using an external device, there is always a chance of that device getting lost, misplaced, right? Tracking that becomes a headache for the organizations, right? So as we see, these are the two things. One is the cost prohibitiveness, and the second thing is the maturity of the endpoints to support private 5G as a hindrance to the adoption of private 5G on the enterprise, right? Public 5G, obviously, you have seen with the mobile phones and the SIM card supporting, there is an uptake of public 5G in India, right? So yeah, so that's the trend what we are seeing. So what is your view on that? So do you?
No, I would like to go back. So you're telling a lot of complex things for the audience and all, and you just understand that you are telling SD-WAN breakout, you are telling data at the data center, critical data at cloud, and data everywhere, and the access control, user moves with his profile and all. And in this space, that I will use a very heavily used word is called Gen AI. And GenAI plays a very pivotal role on this and all for, the lot of people where, that you will not be able to afford such a high-end specialist into the managing the overall infrastructure. So do I get to have a virtual network assistance where, that where people will tell that if I ask that where is the issue, why there is a performance issues in my network from this segment? Because, the troubleshoot and SD-WAN, troubleshoot and, MPLS breakout and go in the data center where is something is getting locked at the network and all those kind of an answer, if you tell that you have got multiple dashboard, multiple tool for observability, so for our life becomes very measurable. And how GenAI adoption is bringing a direction, what is that you are doing into the GenAI adoption for us?
Brilliant question, sir. So as you rightly pointed out, in the last few years, right, there has been a lot of focus on how we could automate the configuration and the deployment of the network. It is all completely GUI driven, powered by artificial intelligence, machine learning, machine reasoning at the back end. So when it comes to troubleshooting, not much has been done, right? And that is also the reason why what we are seeing is there is a longer downtime, because people have been using the GUI, very comfortable, do 3 or 4 clicks, your network is up and running. And when it comes to troubleshooting, since you have not manually configured that, right? So when you want to do a troubleshooting, you are not tuned to that, right? So that is what we have seen as the time to troubleshoot the network has significantly increased, right? So now the effort is basically towards how you could use some of these techniques, especially the Gen AI and machine reasoning capabilities to troubleshoot the network, right? What we call as an AI-assisted troubleshooting, right? So if you look at it, your network is very, very distributed and complex, right? So you have LAN networks, you have WAN networks, you have the data center, you have the security, which is pervasive across this, and then you have access to the applications which are hosted on a service provider cloud or one of the cloud service providers, which is Amazon, Google, Azure, whatever it is, right? And if I have to use AI to troubleshoot, AI should should basically look at the complete path from the way the user connects all the way to the applications and come and tell you what is happening on the network, right? So there has been effort which has been made towards this. As a first step, what we are seeing is we are using generative AI, right? What you could do is you could go and ask the network, where is my issue today? I wanted to access this, let's say, Microsoft Teams application. Where is the issue? There are agents which are deployed on the endpoints, which are deployed at the service provider level, which could basically correlate and come back and tell you where exactly is the issue is, right? So it is available in a dashboard to basically get it to the end user level. There are works in progress, and you should be able to see that in the next few months, right? And you could also go ahead and say, which of my access point is heavily loaded? Because every access point can connect a few users, right? 20 to 30, depending on the kind of access points that you use today, right? And when you go and ask this question, the Gen AI is going to do a dipstick analysis of all the access points that you have deployed, come back and tell you how the user distribution is. And basis that, you could figure out that if the user is complaining of network slowness, why is it, right? And then start troubleshooting from there. There are a lot of advancements that is being made, and it's interesting time with respect to how we could use these techniques to troubleshoot a network and help the network admins, operators quickly fix the problem for their end users. Yeah.
Brilliant. So this is the last leg. I think we have come to the last leg of the discussion, and before I get into my last point and all, so is there any question from the audience? If there is anything which you want to ask this forum, I think that's open to all. And if you can, if you can do that to us, if there is any question. If there is none, I would like to ask Raghavan, I just wanted to tell is that, that how there is every company, ESG has become a very important, question for every company. ESG is a very important area for everybody to consider. So how Cisco is contributing to the ESG of the, of overall delivery model, how ESG is built within the overall delivery model? This is the last question to you.
Thanks. So we are no different when it comes to ESG, right? So we had a session from HPE who spoke about how they are basically contributing to the sustainability story. So we have something similar, and I think Vinod also touched upon like what is Cisco's corporate role when it comes to ESG and how we want it to be like sort of zero carbon footprint in 2030 or something, right? So, but when it comes to the deployment of the network and how we could basically provide visualization to our customers, we are coming up with a lot of capabilities on the dashboarding itself, right? One of the interesting things what we are trying to do is we are trying to assess what is your source of energy to power those devices. Is it a renewable energy source or a non-renewable energy source? Which is like, are you using solar or are you using some of the fossil fuels where you are generating the power from and to power these devices? Basis that we are able to calculate the carbon footprint, right? It's not a flat thing saying that if the device is consuming this much amount of power, this is the carbon footprint that you are basically releasing, right? So we are able to look at what is the source and do that variable calculation so that the organizations can also know exactly what is their contribution towards that. Second thing is, while reporting the power consumption and the power usage, we are also very clearly discriminating like what is the system power consumption. Say for example, if you are powering a switch, what is the power that is needed to power the switch as such, and what is the power that is consumed by the end devices that are connected to that, right? And if there is an end device connected to that, like an access point or like an IP video camera, then we could use multiple techniques to hibernate those devices when it is not being utilized completely, right? Say for example, if you are connecting an access point, and if not many users are connected, maybe during the evenings or during the nights, we are able to reduce the power consumption or the power supply to those access points so that you could save some power back. And also when it comes to the packaging of the devices, right? So we don't use one-time materials, right? Consumption materials. So we have moved away from all those things, and many of the packages that you see are the recyclable packages that you would get, right? And the last thing is the reusable of the equipment as such, right? Cisco has a policy that we could reuse or refurbish the device thrice, right? Say for example, if you are sending a switch, if it has become old, we would refurbish those components and use it on another product. Like that, we could do it 3 times. After that, it goes into the e-waste, right? So this is taking into consideration the performance of the hardware, the performance of the electronic components, right? So there are multiple things that's getting there, and many of these are being documented and available on the public website as well.
Brilliant. So it can be part of the Cisco as a contribution. We can be part of my ESG reporting as an organization.
Yeah.
And can contribute back to the overall ecosystem as a financial reporting, as a part of the ESG reporting. That's a great session. I think, thank you for being with us in this session. So it's over from us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing, for asking these, and thank you to the audience for spending time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a pleasant task to perform. I would request Mr. Otonu Pramanik, member of our IT committee and VP IT RPSG group, to please hand over token of appreciation to Mr. Partho Sengupta first. Mr. Sengupta has been instrumental in bringing and making this panel happen. So he deserves a round of applause for this. Thank you. And Mr. Raghavan Kasturi Rangan, next. Thank you so much.